Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, to go back to some comments and questions that you answered earlier, if we are in fact at war, how will we know when we have won?
The destruction of ISIL entails their expulsion from any territory they claim to occupy, and their destruction elsewhere around the world, including their various branches and so forth. That's the
so as long as ISIL is in Iraq or Syria or Libya or Afghanistan or anywhere else in the world, we will still be at war.
I believe that in today's world, these threats are difficult to confine to one place, and that is the reason why we have to go there and why we have to go to Syria and Iraq and strike at it and strike at other places where it is. It's in the nature of today's world, mobility among peoples. You see that underline this, and above all, mobility of information, which can radicalize people who have never gone anywhere except on their keyboard.
I think it's important, if we are at war, to define in the clearest, most precise terms what victory looks like, with 14 years of Afghanistan in mind, with the fact that we've been in Iraq off and on since 2003, or you could take it all the way back to 1991, to keep us out of perpetual war. I think it's really important that we explicitly define the objectives and the outcomes for which we're fighting. I think we owe that to our service members. I think we owe that to ourselves. And I would hope that we could come up with a better definition of victory and success. I appreciate that you acknowledge the importance of political and diplomatic components of a solution in Iraq or in Syria. But I'm interested in your response to a question asked by Mr. Gibson in terms of conditionality. There's so much in those countries, we'll just use Iraq as an example, that we do not control and cannot control and will not be able to predict when it comes to the political outcomes. And so when we say that we are going to set conditions on our aid, when we say that we are going to set conditions on our military presence, do we really mean that? Is that a viable threat? Will we really walk away from Iraq if the government there doesn't meet those conditions? And I think that's an important question, because if, in fact, we will not, then I wonder what the motivation is for the Iraqi government to take the very important and very difficult steps to integrate these other minorities, whether they be Kurds or whether they be Sunnis, into a functioning government, decentralized or otherwise.
First of all, with respect to the first part of your question, your point exactly gets back to the military and political going together, because in addition to the only end state that involves the lasting defeat of ISIL is one in which there is local governance that cannot be once again supplanted by ISIL. That's why the political and the military go together. That's at the heart of the strategy, and that's why enabling capable and motivated forces who can make victory stick is the other part of the definition of victory, critical to the strategy. With respect to the leverage, I'll start there in Baghdad, but the leverage involves offering to do more for those who are pursuing the same objectives and withholding our support from those who are taking a different path or not going down the path they're supposed to. So we find alternatives. We find people who will act. If we can't, if the people that we're dealing with are not capable of that, because we have to act, and we will find such forces that are capable.
Very quickly for General Dunford, what does ISIS want us to do, and how does that factor into our strategy in confronting them?
ISIS wants us to be impetuous right now, as opposed to be aggressive, and they would love nothing more than a large presence of U.S. forces on the ground in Iraq and Syria so they could have a call to jihad.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.